Okay, and we are live. Welcome to a new episode of All Things Xbox podcast. Once again, I got Logan with me. Logan, how you doing this week?
Oh, I'm doing all right. I don't know about all the Xbox community at the moment, but I'm doing okay. How are you, Jamie? How are you enjoying this nice Tuesday?
You know, outside of all the games that's been announced, and we're gonna go over everything that's been announced because there's a lot of good games coming. Honestly, outside of the stuff we're gonna get to later, it's actually been a good week. It's getting a bit cooler here. Played some good games. What can I say? It's been an interesting week. It is one that I think will go down in the history books for this year for the reaction online for stuff. But anyway, we're not a doom and gloom show. We're going to talk about all this stuff for real in a bit. But before all that, and we have a lot of topics to cover, Logan, what have you been playing this past week?
Well, I had never played the Diablo series before, and it was on sale, so I thought, why not? And so I bought the Diablo 2 Ultimate or Primeval Edition or whatever that came with Diablo 2 and all the stuff for it, the remaster and Diablo 3. It's actually been quite fun. I see why people love the series so much. It's like um it kind of set the archetype for the classic dungeon crawler, and I definitely see where it was the forefather on some other series that I enjoy. And so I played a little bit of that. I've been wrapping up Hand of Fate, which it's a criminally slept on like card game mixed with RPG roguelike game. And it's a shame what happened to the studio. It was a smaller Australian studio
Yeah.
that's basically just in maintenance mode for it and the sequel. But highly recommend those if you ever like those kinds of games. Been playing those, Power Wash Sim, and I was thinking about jumping into a narrative game or two. How about you, man? What you been up to?
A bunch of 360 games. I've been playing X-Men
Hey,
Origins
good
Wolverine.
stuff.
Yeah, good stuff. And I may have touched on this last week. Those games still look good. I was kind of worried that have I been spoiled with the Xbox Series X giving us 16 times androstopic filtering, because a 360 games are very much clean on modern Xbox consoles, and I was kind of worried that it would just take me back a bit, and I'm shocked how good some of these games still look. So I was playing Wolverine. Uh, that game is so gory, it's amazing. It's a shame we'll probably never get another game like that because when that film came out in 2010, um it was critically panned. The whole film leaked on the internet about a month before. It was none of the special effects finished. Don't know if people can remember that. It was a rough time for that film. Nobody liked it. But that video game, wow. I know it came from a time when people made fun of movie tie-in games, but that was amazing. In fact, I'll put it down as one of the best superhero games ever made. Easy. It's so much fun, so gory, and I hope more people actually get to play that in the future. Maybe be a BC or whatever. But I have a bunch of 360 stuff to get through, and I've also been playing Warhammer 40k Space Marine. Now, again, I was shocked by the visuals in this game because it was running on a 360 Slim, and it looked good. Now, I will say this, and I'm not the biggest tech person, so I could be wrong. So for my Xbox 360, I've actually been using a 4K HDMI cable that came with an Xbox Series X. So I don't know if that has some sort of upscaler chip in it, because I know some HDMI cables do, but this game is crystal clear. It runs so smooth for a 360 game like that, because this game, they throw dozens of enemies at you. There's drop ships coming from the sky. Logan, you bought that game as well, right?
I actually didn't end up picking up 40K. I was holding out hope that they were just going to remaster it, but THQ Nordic once again stomped on my dreams this week for announcements I figured would happen, and we'll get to that later.
Yeah, I mean, it's a crying shame that 40K Space Marine isn't getting remastered, because it still holds up. All they have to do is put out a 4K 60 remaster, basically give us the PC version, and you can still buy it on PC. So I don't know if licensing would be that much of an issue, because THQ Nordic does own the license to the first game. But yeah, the game's great. It's voiced by Mark Strong, the main character, which I completely forgot about. And like, I'm a huge fan of Mark Strong, excellent actor, but in this he's like really good as well. I'm just loving the 360 at the minute. It's kind of weird. I've gone from playing all these 4K games, enjoying 4K and all this stuff, and like the 360, I'm like, these games are good. You don't really need all the bells and whistles of modern games. You just need something that's good at the end of the day. But if anyone has a PC, or if you happen to buy it in a sale before the store shut down, please play that game. You'll be shockingly surprised. And the sequel comes out in, I think, 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. Again, it's Gears, but you have a chainsaw sword. What can I say? And after that, I'll be getting to Remember Me, Homefront, a bunch of 360 games. Can't wait, actually. You know what? We actually have a lot of topics to talk about today. Before we go through the list of all the games that were announced at Gamescom, there's a particular game. One of two, actually. There was a particular game that wasn't announced at Gamescom Opening Night Live. It was one that me and Logan have been talking about for about close to a week now, and we were absolutely sure this game was going to be there. In fact, a lot of people in chat, while the show was live, was expecting this particular game to be announced. And that is Alien Isolation 2. There was a big Reddit leak about a week and a half ago going over all the details of the new game, the VR game, and also a remaster of the game we already have. And it was so detailed, it looked believable. And I'm not the kind of person that believes Reddit stuff. I think Reddit should be, you should take that place with a pinch of salt. Anyone can go on there, make an account, and just post the most outlandish stuff, and that stuff will get reported on Reset Error, and that stuff filters out to IGN and GameSpot. Well, Gamescom Opening Night Live came and went, there's no Alien Isolation 2, there's no remaster, and there's no VR game. Now, this leak did say that it could be announced in October. So, I don't know what to say. It's either it's completely fake or the whole thing is going to be announced in October. I would love to be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, because I love Alien Isolation. Alien is having this massive surge in the fandom at the minute. And by the way, bit of a tangent. Like, I loved Prometheus that came out in 2012. I love that film. I think it's amazing. But whenever I talk about it online, I get replies saying it's trash, it's a terrible film. And this past week, I've just seen non-stop love for it. People love Prometheus. So I don't know why all these people have been my entire life, but Prometheus is getting some love. Alien as a franchise is on the uptick. There's going to be a new Alien series on Disney Plus in, I think, January, called Alien Earth. I think there's going to be a teaser released very soon, which I can't wait for. But Alien is in a good place as the franchise right now, because I hated Alien Covenant. I think that is possibly one of the worst films ever made, and it insults me that it even exists. It really does. I'm not offended by anything, but a few things do, and that's Scream 3 and Alien Covenant. Absolute disaster, trash fire, awful. Awful cinema, awful. But this new film looks good, and I haven't seen it yet, and I'm really looking forward to actually seeing it. There's kind of this stigma in the UK for going to the cinema by yourself, because I usually go with mates, but everyone's schedules are mixed up. People have kids now, so it's like, I'm thinking about going to the cinema by myself to watch this film. Why not? Who cares at the end of the day? But that's enough film talk. But Alien Isolation, there was nothing there at Gamescom. I'm personally heartbroken, because I've been wanting to go through this game again, and we got no 4K patch. It does have 60 FPS boost right now on Xbox Series X and S, but we may be getting something in October. Logan, what's your thought on this? Because we've both been talking about this behind the scenes. Alien is coming back big as a franchise.
Yeah, I was. Oh, sorry, you cut out for a second.
No, I was saying Alien's coming back big as a franchise. Alien Fireteam Elite 2 leaked the whole detail, all the details about it. So, like, we've been talking about this, but I just want to know your thoughts because we were both expecting this.
Yeah, I was personally bummed that it wasn't there. That and another announcement, which we'll get to. But yeah, it looked real to me. It made perfect sense with the timing of the movie, Romulus, and the fact that Romulus was so heavily inspired by Isolation, and there's blatant teasers about it, and clear inspiration in the film from Isolation. The director talked about it. The old studio started posting stuff again. Sega, other people. It seemed like a perfect storm to drop a remaster or a sequel announcement. I haven't given up hope yet. I think, if nothing else, the film's success and all the love people have been giving Isolation will spur something, some movement in that direction. I hope something is announced in October. Won't hold my breath for it. But I do think that the idea, the prospect of an Alien Isolation 2 is much stronger now than it was a month ago. And so in the meantime, I will, like you, I was kind of holding off on jumping back into the original one until, if this announcement happened or not. But since it didn't, I'm going to go back and I'm going to play the expansions I never played before.
Yeah.
Because, like, I got the Game of the Year edition that came with, like, all these side stories where he plays other characters trying to escape the station and stuff. So I had never done those, so I'm going to go ahead and play through those. And yes, to this day, a decade later, the smartest enemy AI I have ever experienced in a game. That xenomorph is truly the perfect organism. It is brilliant. It is terrifying. It will tear you a new one. And it is, by golly, not a 5.9. And I will defend that to this day. Egregious, blasphemous, downright insulting. 5.9. You might as well say it has too much water and it's in space at that point.
Yeah. Oh, that people really hated that Alien Isolation review. Before we continue, we have this first super chat of the day by Nick W. Thank you very much for the $4.99. He says, Black Myth Wukong is awesome. I'm happy to hear. I've been talking about this game for what feels like 3 years now. Unfortunately, we all know it's not on Xbox yet, but like, you fight big bosses. I love those types of games. And what can I say? Everything I've seen about this game, it looks fantastic. So when it does arrive on Xbox, I'll get it straight away. But man, the character designs in that game, the whole Journey to the West storyline that we've seen so many different times in different ways, it's just an interesting plot line, And China, look, you have to put it out there. China, they have been putting out some really good games, some experimental stuff. I've I've even seen some first-person shooters, that like sci-fi shooters, and they look really cool. Like the original talent over there. There's some really cool stuff coming out of there, and I think I think it's China Joy every year. Like, I hope Xbox shows up next year or whatever. Licenses some games or whatever. But like Black Myth Wukong, that is a colossal hit. I mean, over 2 million sales on Steam. It's crazy because like you always see these videos pop up of is modern gaming dying and all that stuff. And you click on these videos and they talk about, Modern Warfare and how it isn't as good as it used to be and all this stuff. And they just talk about multiplayer. And some people from like big companies think that single player games are dead. Well, the most played games on Steam kind of turn out to be single player. Cyberpunk popped off when that was fixed and had its its expansion. You have Baldur's Gate 3, which was a colossal hit on PC last year, and now you have Black Myth Wukong. Like, I love the fact that these single-player games are popping off because it proves that there's a market for these games. Whether it's a Souls-like RPG, I don't care. As long as it's single-player, I'm happy with it. But thank you for the $4.99, Nick W. I'm happy to hear about Black Myth Wukong because I think that, this game was in a vacuum for a very long time where we didn't really know much about it, and then over the past 6 months we've seen a lot of trailers, and like my feed started to be filled with Black Myth Wukong stuff when the Xbox delay was announced. You know, a lot of people were disappointed with that. I was disappointed with that, but it'll come over eventually, and I'm looking forward to it. And I think that's the type of game that would very much suit getting things like single-player expansions and stuff. They can do anything with that kind of IP. The sky's the limit at the end of the day. But yeah, when it comes to the whole like Alien Isolation thing, we just have to hold out till October. And like you said, the AI in that game, every time I play a game since, I always compare the AI to that. The AI in that game, it wasn't predictable. You had no idea what was going to happen next. And I played that game with the Kinect on. So, like, once I sneezed and it came running for me. Like, I freaked out. Because, like I've said before, I'm a scaredy cat when it comes to horror games. And that game was 33 and a half hours of me crawling slowly to the next air event, panicking. Absolute panic. You know, sweating, all sorts. And, like, I found that game genuinely terrifying, but the fact that I got myself through that game, that says a lot. You know, I love the Alien IP, the fact that they got the ship to look exactly like the aesthetic from the 70s. Like, incredible, really, what they did with that game. But hey, we'll revisit this topic in October when hopefully it's announced. But there's also another game that didn't get announced today, and everyone's shocked that it wasn't announced there because it leaks, literally, and that is Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver 1 and 2 Remastered. Where on earth is that game? And it's not like this is some Reddit leak. It's not like this is some made-up rumor. It's like we've seen actual art for this game. We've seen the logo for this game. We've seen like comics that are prequels to Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver 1 and 2. Right? Crystal Dynamics on their Twitter feed are posting constantly about these comic prequels, and they keep listing it as comic prequel. And about 4 days ago, one of those retro arcade machine consoles is getting a Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver version on that console. So people start freaking out saying, is this it? It's not. But this remaster exists, and it just hasn't been announced yet. And the reason it really gets to me is because I loved Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver, and it's just nowhere to be seen. It's kind of heartbreaking because it exists, and they just won't show us. Logan, I know you've never played these games before, but you're looking forward to it. And we've been talking about this all week. Like, the 25th anniversary is came and went. The Gamescom opening night live is came and went. And still nothing. And you have Crystal Dynamics and IGN posting about these prequel comics. Like, what's going on?
I have no idea what's going on. I would love to be a fly on the wall at Crystal's HQ, because like, what on earth? Read the room, guys. Like, 25th anniversary. There's already been a leak. Like, there's high quality premium statues at a comic convention that blatantly display with the statuette font and everything that it's from the remastered collection. And then you have this Evercade announcement, which first was like, what on earth is an Evercade? It felt like the robot chicken, like, what is an aluminum falcon kind of thing? Like, what is an Evercade? And then I found out what it is. Actually looks cool, but come on, y'all. Like, really? You do that, and then you have a Kickstarter of a prequel graphic novel, which, hey, power to you. I'm all for IP expanding. But for those to be your 25th anniversary announcements, when everybody already knows you leaked the other thing, instead of just leaning into it, you go crickets on it, is just, it's really, really just, frankly, it's kind of annoying, to be honest. Like, don't blue ball your fan base. Don't do that.
Yeah. I mean, when the Evercade announcement really shocked people because, like, It's a very niche console, and I love the fact that it exists. People want to collect retro games still physical. That's an option. In fact, Atari announced today a brand new Atari console that is going to get new physical games as well as being able to play your old games. So I think like the retro scene, that is perfectly cool and all. I might actually pick up an Evercade at some point because I think it's a cool device. I think if I remember correctly, there's 30 games available physically for it. But yeah, they just need to announce a thing. I saw the Legacy of Kain Twitter accounts, the fan accounts. They were losing it today. They are in shambles because everyone thought it was going to be announced. Everyone, and it's not there. So who knows when it's going to pop up? They might just announce it on a random day because again, Crystal Dynamics they now owned by Embracer, and I have a feeling that Aspire's probably been working on this remaster as well. So who knows what's going to happen? I think it's one of those things that's being kept secret, maybe for too long. Like if you have a display at Comic Con and then you don't do anything after, they don't even say it's not even happening. They just say, here's a link to our Kickstarter. It's unfortunate, but hey, it is what it is. I just think they need to announce the thing already so I can play it. We haven't had a Legacy of Kain title, I think, for 20 years. And that was the last game
OG Xbox.
Yeah, OG Xbox, PlayStation 2, and GameCube. It's been a long time. So they'll get to it eventually. I just hope it's, sooner rather than later. Anyway, we'll move on. I wasn't going to make this a topic because we've still got a bunch of stuff to talk about, but I want to talk about this quickly because it's been popping up in my feed a lot. So I've noticed there's this stigma towards video games still, and it was in my feed. I'm sure a lot of people listening, I'm sure you may have seen it, Logan, like red flags for dating. And I want to bring this up because
yeah.
And the number one red flag, actually, let's not even get to the number one red flag. I think the fifth one down was gambling. These are hobbies that apparently red flags. And gambling isn't as bad apparently as playing video games, and it shocks me. Because where I live, in Durham, it's kind of accepted that a lot of people play video games. Like, nobody really has an issue with it. And I find it shocking that, like, in 2024, playing video games is still a stigma, apparently. Even though it's, the number one revenue-generating entertainment business on the planet. It makes more money than music, TV, and movies combined. And, like, everyone plays them. Whether you only play Fortnite on a weekend, or you play a mobile game, or you literally just play core games on console and PC. Like, gaming should be accepted by now, and it surprises me still. Like, gaming is a red flag. I've dated, like, a few people that are fine with gaming, and have some that aren't okay with gaming. I don't get it personally. It's okay to watch 6 hours of TV a day and sports, and 6 hours of sports on, news and drama, and that's fine. And when I saw that list, trolling was listed as a hobby, and apparently trolling is less of a red flag than gambling. Shocked. Logan, what's your take on this? Because, like, personally, I think it's shocking that in 2024 we still see this in society. Gaming still isn't accepted. You have news channels freaking out about GTA 6 preemptively because that's gonna have some talking points. But it's like people still can't get over the fact that gaming is popular and it is a hobby.
Yeah, my first thing is, one, I wonder the source of this of these charts and these graphs and these panels and stuff, because that'll obviously affect the outcome and the results. Like, is this somebody just grifting? Is this, like, who all are they polling? Where all is this? And the demographics and, yada, yada, yada. Because, like, I know the generation before us and even before that, like, it was heavily stigmatized and it was not looked on favorably. Like, even growing up, it was it wasn't viewed the best. It got better, you know. By the time I was in college, high school, whatever. It was like, oh yeah, everybody's doing it. You know, who cares, whatever. Now it seems like the most accepted it's ever been. So that was kind of odd to see that to me. Personally, I think those kinds of things, that those charts and stuff coming, were from agenda based grifting and you know, people trying to make a point and trying to, stir the pot. Just like, for example, like a few years ago, I don't remember if you saw the post on Twitter or not, but there was like this girl who was a major like fashion like inspiration person that was like, "Oh yeah, no, this is what you should wear, not what wear, whatever." And she like had this whole thing influencer about how men had to ditch graphic T-shirts,
I remember that.
and
I remember that.
the men of Twitter revolted, and she lost so many followers, and people just told her like basically to take a hike on that. And I honestly, I think of it that way. Like in regards to this, like personally, like gaming is not my only hobby, and it's not what I solely identify as. Like I'm big into sports and other things too,
Yeah.
but I know there are people who like it is their main, like their one thing, and that's perfectly cool and fine. Power to you. Find something that makes you happy. As long as it's positive for you and others, then power to you. But to me, it's like not to get too personal, but like I, like to me, like if there's a person that you're wanting to date and they have a massive problem with just something that makes you happy and something that you enjoy as a reasonable hobby that is harmless, and that gets under their skin or bothers them that much, that says more about them than it does you. And maybe, just maybe, those aren't the people you should be looking to impress. Maybe you should be going for people that you actually gel with and like you for who you are, and you like them for who they are. But because, these things are supposed to be give and take, it's not supposed to be like, well, she says it's time to get rid of the Xbox. It's like, I guess I'll be a fanboy and post a smashing my Xbox video or something like that. Like, no, get out of here. It's, I don't know. I think, be who you are and find people that are cool with you being you, because you'll be happier that way. If you try to change yourself too much, then you won't be you anymore.
Yeah. I just wanted to bring it up quickly because I just thought it was a weird anecdote. Like, that's still a thing. Because, not just like the whole dating thing, but, and by the way, for people just jumping in the podcast now, this isn't a dating podcast about advice with dating, okay?
Find us on Cosmo.
Yeah, oh, God. But, like, I think, it's just weird because, like, a lot of society still freaked out about video games. When GTA comes out next year, people are going to complain that you can, I don't know, get eaten by an alligator or like some other weird stuff that you can do in that game. It is a thing. Bit of a weird anecdote. I wasn't going to tell this story, but why not? So I think it was like it was some birthday gift or something. I was asked by my girlfriend at the time. She was like, "Do you want like whatever? What do you want for your birthday?" And I mentioned a video game. I can't remember if it was Call of Duty Black Ops 2 or something. I can't remember. And I mentioned it, and she was like, "Why would you want a video game? That seems like a bit of a waste of time, you know." And anyway, she got us reluctantly, and I was on that game basically every night. A month passes, and it gets to her birthday, and I get her this £130 handbag. She used it once, and threw it in the back of a wardrobe to never use it again. What? So like, video games are a waste of time and money, but £130 handbag that you use once. And I was broke then. Like I was broke and like way too young to be buying stuff like that. But hey, that's an anecdote I wasn't going to talk about. But anyway, society messed up. Gaming is a hobby that millions enjoy. People can't accept that. Well, they can screw off. Anyway, we'll move on. We've still got a bunch of stuff to talk about because Gamescom opening night live. there was actually a ton of games there. Now, I wrote down a list of basically everything there, and I couldn't actually write it all down because some indie games didn't have Xbox listed or whatever. But anyway, I'll go through the list right now and we'll quickly talk about some things. So, Blur. Now, if people have been paying attention to gaming for maybe more than 5 minutes, you may have heard of Blur Studios before. They make a lot of the CGI trailers for video games. And they make some of the best trailers, in my opinion.
Oh, Keeley loves them.
Yeah, we get a lot of CGI trailers and Jeff Keighley shows. Well, it turns out they make an Amazon TV show that comes out this December. It's going to be, I think, 15 episodes long. And each episode is going to be about a different video game, which I love the idea. I love the idea of this. They kind of quickly went over some logos. So the Outer Worlds is going to have an entire episode dedicated to that and an interesting story in a new location. Looks very cool. What else? Exodus, brand new game by previous Mass Effect developers. I'm already over that. I need that. What else? Oh yeah, I saw Concord listed. I mean, let's hope that the online's still alive by then. Who knows? But it looks really cool.
Ooh.
I mean, it's going to happen. But I think it's really cool that the studio, and like they have passion for video games. They've been making video game trailers, I want to say, for 20 years. Some of the best cinematic trailers in the business. And I just want to let people know about that because it's, I think when it comes to video game TV shows, some can be good, some can be bad. We get into a place where video game adaptations are actually getting really good now. And this looks like it's going to be great. There's also going to be a Warhammer 40k Space Marine episode, which I'm going to be all over. But it looks really cool. Like, Logan, what do you think of that? Because, like, video game media or cross-media, it seems to be picking up steam at the minute, and this looks really good.
Yeah, this was awesome news. As somebody who enjoys gaming, throughout history, the different eras, and across the different platforms, Xbox is my main, but I enjoy gaming as a whole. This is a fantastic anthology. I mean, you've got The Outer Worlds, which is super cool. And oh man, I could totally imagine just a hilarious, like Black Mirror esque type episode about the dystopian corporations and the storylines of the Outer Worlds, but like an episode with some company just absolutely exploiting its employees and space and like aliens and monsters and stuff. And I can totally picture that. God of War is a no-brainer. Mega Man was really cool to see. um there were a few other ones that were like, well, yeah, that makes sense. And then not part of that anthology, but also announced as a game series getting a film was Ruiner, which was like a
Yeah.
top-down view game that was in Game Pass a few years ago, cyberpunky. Like, that was really cool, and I feel like that was an under-the-radar adaptation announcement.
Yeah, that Ruiner movie or TV show, whatever it's going to be, that's going to be interesting. If people got into the cyberpunk genre because it's Cyberpunk 2077, that's going to be one to watch because Ruiner, it is a hard as nails game, but that universe they have, the look they have, it's such a cool setting. But yeah, Blur Studios coming out with the TV series. It's been in development for 3 years. I hope it's good. Like you said, there's going to be a God of War episode. Mega Man, I'm excited to see what they're going to do with Mega Man because I never thought I'd see a kind of a realistic CGI Mega Man like TV episode. That's an interesting take, but and I think I may have saw Dragon Age or Dragon's Dogma in there. I don't know which one it was, but hey,
I know Armored Core was in there.
yeah. Oh, by the way, Armored Core. It looks like that episode is going to be starring Keanu Reeves.
Oh, of course it is.
Yeah. So like,
That's awesome.
it looks great. By the way, I love the fact that Keanu Reeves is getting experimental with all this stuff. Like, apparently Marvel's offered him multiple $1 million roles, and he's saying no to them. But he's doing these like side projects where he appears as Space Jesus in SpongeBob SquarePants movie, and like these like offshoot video game projects. I love that. It's weird, but that's Keanu Reeves, and that's awesome. But yeah, that series
He
looks
got the Kojima
yeah.
stamp of approval.
Oh yeah. And why we're talking about this stuff? The Borderlands movie. Wasn't going to talk about this, but I'll bring it up. Um, that film is going to streaming, I think, next month. Disaster. Absolute failure at the box office. Um, I will say this: I've played Borderlands 1, 2, and 3. I'm a fan of Borderlands. I'm not like an ultra fan. I'm not obsessed like I am with Mass Effect. Like I like Borderlands. Every time I've seen a trailer for that film, it doesn't look like that universe. It looks bland. It looks boring. And when you have an IP like Borderlands, where the focus is on guns, like 100% of the reason you play Borderlands is for the quirky guns and the loot. Apparently, this film has like next to none of that. So I'm happy I didn't go see it. I will wait for it to pop up on a streaming service because that film looks terrible. And if people have been following me, I watch a different film every single night. Um, I'm only watching that if it's free. like, Logan, do you think you'd be watching that at all? Because it looks awful.
Nah, that film is malware at this point. I ain't touching that thing with a 10-foot pole. But a side tangent about that film is it's crazy to me is that it got such a good cast that seemed to fit the characters in theory. And apparently it had originally a really good script and story, but then they changed up some things behind the scenes. Eli Roth got involved, allegedly, I believe, and it changed everything. And then it was like, well, everybody's committed to it. The project comes out, and it is an all time just dud. And it's coming to home digital in 10 days, which is very, very fast. And it's just, I don't know. Eli Roth is really good at what he does. Like he does really good horror movies, and like he did the Thanksgiving film, Midnight Meat Train, like really gritty, dark, kind of nasty, brutal. Like he's got a vibe, and he's really good at what he does. But this would be like, and it's cool if people expand upon their outreach, but this would be like asking, John Carpenter to make a romantic comedy like When Harry Met Sally or something like that. It's just an acid trip, post apocalyptic, guns, 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 boom, 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 witty humor, everything. That's just not his lane.
Yeah, it's a weird situation. But hey, if it comes to streaming, I'll watch it and I'll probably talk about it at some point. Before we continue with this list, which we have like 99% of this list to go, if you're enjoying the show, please like, share, subscribe. I hate doing these ads, but we kind of have to do it because, one, YouTube literally tells me to, and I'm bad at self-promotion because I'm a Brit, so that's that. If you want to support the channel with super chats, it always helps out, helps the channel, helps me make new stuff, all that crap. As you can tell, I'm not good with doing these ads. I hate doing them. Anyway, so we've got a huge list of games coming to Xbox. We'll start off with Sniper Elite Resistance. This is the brand new title. I didn't expect this game to be announced just yet. It feels like Sniper Elite 5 released like yesterday. This game looks fantastic. Brand new setting. What can I say? I mean, you know what you're getting with Sniper Elite? You're getting slow motion kills, you're getting long shot distance kills in these interesting levels. The levels did look a lot more open this time. With Sniper Elite 5, they went really big with the maps. Some could say too big. But these maps in the new one, they looked incredibly dense, which I really liked. The problem with 5, and it's not even a problem with 5, I think 5 made you go into too many buildings to take out targets. Like, if you have a game called Sniper Elite, I want more concentration on sniping. Well, this trailer looked like it was going to provide that, and it's also launching day one in Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. So I can't wait for this. Launches in 2025. Logan, what do you think? Do you like the Sniper Elite games?
Um, they're really not my cup of tea per se. Like I've enjoyed them, like dabble in them for 30 minutes here or there, but I've always been impressed with the tech and like the kill cams and the shots, like how just comically brutal.
Yeah. I think I think a lot of people will like this game when it comes out, and I think I'm not entirely sure, but I think 5 may actually still no, it can be a bit difficult, especially if you get spotted. The next game that was announced is called Revenge of the Savage Planet. Now, I played the first game. I highly recommend people play the first game if you get the chance. That game might also be in Xbox Game Pass. It's a first-person Metroidvania game in a sci-fi setting set on, surprising, an alien planet. It just works. It's a ton of fun. Highly recommend it. And it's getting a sequel. And there's also going to be gameplay debuted for that game tomorrow on one of Xbox's showcases. The next game is called Directive 8020. This game has been brewed for years. Supermassive Games, they've been talking about this game low-key for, I want to say, 3 years. And they excel at making cinematic horror. But what they don't do a lot is pump a lot of gameplay in their games. And they literally said with this game, it's going to have the cinematic choices of the games they've made in the past, but it looks like it's also going to have sort of Dead Space-style combat and survival elements. Now, to me, that's aimed at me. That sounds like a game I love. Like, Logan, what do you think about that? Because it looks really cool, and Supermassive, they excel at horror. Okay, I think Logan has dipped out. Logan, if you can hear me, just jump out and jump back in. Again, internet situation isn't exactly perfect, but this game looks really good. Very cinematic, very realistic. Don't know what engine they're using, but I love the fact that they continue to make these interesting horror games and interesting settings, because nobody makes games like they do. And if you get the chance, play one of their games. They're just so good. Yes, Logan's audio is gone. Again, internet issues aside. The next game that was announced, and it's Borderlands 4, right? And there's a lot of hype for Borderlands games, not movies. They just announced it with an image of the mask and planets crashing and whatnot. I think that
Can you hear me, Jeremy?
Okay, yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Had a little low spot on the internet. I'm back now.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, we all have these issues. What do you think of that Supermassive game? What's it called? Directive 8020.
Oh, I am so down for that. I love Supermassive ever since I played Until Dawn, which remake is coming out soon, by the way. I love their games. You can tell they're real fans of the genre, and they're really passionate about it. And they go all in and do branching narratives, and it feels like every decision matters to a point, even if it's just a minor thing. Because you never know if that door you left unlocked might come back to bite you, or if you left something on a table. Man, I'm really glad I left that there when I was running through the house from this thing. And the idea of this in space and kind of a almost Thing Dead Space kind of vibe is super cool, and I'm very, very excited for that. And they're casting a Frank Stone, which is coming soon as well.
Yeah, I have no idea how they're able to pump out so many games so quick. Like, they put out 1 or 2 horror games a year, and the quality.
Are they a super massive team? Pardon the obvious joke,
Yeah.
But are they a huge team?
Well, I'm guessing they have to be. Otherwise, I don't. Unless they have some little magical wizard in the back making games, there's no chance. There's just 4 dudes making that. But hey, they clearly know what they're doing. I'm sure it's going to be good. I think we're going to hear more about that soon when it comes to gameplay. But yeah, Borderlands 4. So we got a cinematic teaser with that. We're going to see more gameplay. I think they said later in the year. Honestly, I like Borderlands. I can't really see it being too different from what we've seen in the past. All they have to do is just give us good enemies to fight, because Borderlands 3 had this weird antagonist where the antagonists were kind of these, I want to call Gen Z Twitch streamers. That's the most polite way I can put it. They were really, really annoying. But the gameplay, Borderlands, you know what you're getting. You're getting really cool combat. You're getting interesting weapons and an interesting world. Outside of that, that's all they have to do, really. but I'm sure that's going to be a good game. And by the way, 2K and Take-Two, they're going to have an amazing year next year. So many massive titles, which again we'll go over in a little bit. But yeah, Borderlands 4, it's probably going to be a good game. The next teaser we got was a full trailer for Black Ops 6, the campaign. Now, I'm one of the 0.005% of people that play Call of Duty for the campaigns. I love.
Me too.
Yeah, the Call of Duty campaigns are so good, and we get less military shooters right now than ever before. We don't get many, and then when Battlefield comes out, we don't even get a campaign anymore. This looked amazing. They showed off the omnidirectional movement in the campaign, and at first I thought I was having a bit of a brain aneurysm because there's the Juggernaut coming down the tunnel, right? And the point of view character sprints backwards while firing forwards, and like trying to wrap my head around that and how you'd control that. It looks fantastic. Like, I think omnidirectional movement is going to be a big game changer for Call of Duty. And, like, hey, I know a lot of people might not be into multiplayer that listen to this show. Trust me, Call of Duty campaigns are so good. And this has been in incubation for so long. This has had the longest development cycle for any Call of Duty campaign. And from what we saw in the teaser trailer back in June, like, it looks like it's going to be big. They showed off about, I think, maybe like 15 different locations. So I don't think this is going to be a Modern Warfare 3 situation where you can finish it in 4 hours. I think this is probably going to be maybe a 20-hour campaign, 15 hours. And for me, that's perfect. But everything they showed in this campaign trailer, it looked great. Showed a big motorcycle set piece. I mean, what can you say? If you've played the previous Black Ops games, those campaigns are genuinely good. If you haven't, play them as soon as you can. Get ready for the sequel. Again, this game's launching in Game Pass. Logan, what do you think of this trailer? Because with the omnidirectional movement, it's way different to what we've played in the past.
Oh, I am so down for this. Black Ops 6 continues to skyrocket up my list of most anticipated games for the year, and it makes me just super stoked for the future. And the fact that this has been the longest in development Call of Duty game like to date, it just makes you all giddy feeling about like what all could possibly be in this game and just how far they'll go, because we were used to like a yearly or 2 yearly cadence for ages. Like, I know the size of games has changed since the, hashtag 360 era, whatever, but it's still like this is going to be a monumental title, and I cannot wait for it. And the whole camera thing is really cool aspect as well.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at it, look at like the highly praised Call of Duty campaigns, such as Black Ops and Modern Warfare from 2009 and 10. Those games had I want to say about 21 months of development. Right?
Insane.
Yeah, like the fact that they got those campaigns out in that time, because they didn't have a full 2 years. Like, a lot of those games had to go gold because of certification process back in the 7th gen. But like they put out amazing campaigns with less than 2 years of development, and this team have had over 4 years in development with this game. There's been a lot of fans like myself and like Logan that we love single player campaigns for Call of Duty. They are fun. No, there's no co-op in these. I think it's probably something they'll add at some point in a future campaign. But again, this campaign's been in the incubation chamber for the longest. I think people are going to love it. When it comes to Black Ops, I'll put it like this. They aren't for the faint of heart. There can be some extremely dark scenarios and stories that happen in those games. Pretty messed up stuff. But, again, it's going to be a good campaign. I have no doubts. Anyway, we'll move on. Okay, next up. This one really annoyed me, and I didn't post about this on Twitter. And that's Goat Simulator Remastered. Now, why would that annoy me? It's because
that trailer was funny, though.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I think that trailer was genius. The way the Skyrim carriage went by twice. Like, I thought that was a very nice touch because it's had multiple releases. The reason it bothered me is because they made fun of remasters and re-releases. And they are remastering a game we already have on our current consoles. So they literally made fun of a scenario which they are doing. They are being hypocrites, basically, which kind of hit me the wrong way. But I mean, hey, if people like those types of games, have at it. And plus, that game's also going to be launching day one in Xbox Game Pass. So if you like Goat Simulator and those, I don't even know how to explain Goat Simulator. It's a weird game. It's part
It's
platform.
a stoned out of your mind
Yeah,
or like so late you are just barely lucid and you need something to play and you laugh at the funny goats doing dumb stuff. That's the kind of game it is. Or for kids.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like, what's that saying? TikTok brainwash. Like, it kind of makes me think that's kind of that's going to entertain those people. But hey, I mean, I had fun with the first one. I just think that personally, they should make that a free upgrade for people that already own it, because it may have came out a long time ago. But I'm a kind of, I don't like the fact that there's people releasing remasters for games that aren't even 10 years old, or even like just the same generation of like compatibility. I don't know. It's just me. I get over it. But yeah, Goat Simulator. The next one, and this game's going to be big, and that's called Dying Light the Beast. So some people are confused about this. Some people didn't know whether it was a game or an expansion. So originally this was going to be an expansion for Dying Light 2, but this has been in development for so long that they've decided to make it a standalone game. It will be cheaper, and if you own the Ultimate Edition of Dying Light 2, you'll actually get this game for free. So you're still going to get that content. It features a new region. You're going to be playing as the character from the first game, and that story in that first game is just great. But it looks like they're doing something different this game. You basically have superpowers in a brand new open world. That game's going to be huge. The Dying Light community, that's in the millions. Millions of people love those games. I mean, I can't really say anything bad about Dying Light. It's a fantastic franchise. More people need to play it. They know how to support games. That first game got over 5 years of free content and updates. The second game is still getting free content and updates. So, like, Techland, they know what they're doing. They know how to support a game. Logan, what do you think about this? Because, like, it's going to be a whole new game, but free to people that own the Ultimate Edition.
Yeah, Dying Light and the devs behind it and the sequel, like I hold them in high esteem. They have earned like a ton of goodwill. Like I remember when the first game launched, it was kind of in a tough period and it had a lot to do, but there was clearly some issues and they needed to expand some scope and do some stuff. And then they went to town and they worked and worked and worked and they stretched that game out for 5 years with quality additions, not just like filler stuff, but like I remember Dying Light the Following was like basically almost a standalone game
Oh, yeah.
itself and added vehicles and a whole like crazy cult and it was just fantastic. And then the sequel is took the formula forward and the idea of basically revisiting the first one but with like almost prototype type powers and just scale and everything for a 20-hour campaign. That's like a really good value, I think. So hat tip to them, and I'm definitely interested in that.
Yeah, the game looks good. And I don't know if it's just me, but I love it when developers say 20-hour game now. Like, if I hear,
It's that target sweet spot.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons why I love Crisis Core Reunion. That's a 20-hour JRPG. Like, perfect. I think too many games they inflated just by too much bloat, but like 20 hours for a first-person open world like game like that, that's just amazing. I can't wait for it, and I think that might be coming out earlier rather than later in 2025. Next up, we have King of Meat. I'll say no more. Arc Raiders. This game has been in incubation for a long time. It's going to be a kind of a PvE PvP extraction game. Now, when it comes to live service games, I'm kind of like icked by them, or should I say most of them. But I will say this: I've been searching far and wide for a single player extraction shooter. Even if it's multiplayer, if I can just play it by myself, I need this in my life. And this looks like it might be that. You have a jetpack, there's giant robot spiders in the environment. It looks cool. We did get kind of a cinematic trailer for it, so I still think it might be a while off, but the game is being made by former Battlefield devs. So I actually have a lot of faith in it. They can make the game how they want. They're not actually under EA's rule to maybe fill it with, microtransactions, because look, Battlefield is in a horrible state at the minute when it comes to the company owning it and wanting to do like new Battlefield games. I have no faith in that franchise anymore. I'm out, right? And I love Battlefield. But anyway, our creators, it looks good. Hopefully we'll be getting the beta on Xbox soon. I know there's been a PC beta where some people haven't liked it, so they've changed things. But hey, I'm sure the game will be good. Next up, Path of Exile 2. That finally got announced for Xbox. It's coming to Xbox in 2025. Again, if you like Diablo and those types of games, you're going to be right at home. Basically the same kind of game. However, if skill trees scare you, Path of Exile has the most complex skill tree I've ever seen in a game. It takes the skill tree from Final Fantasy X and gives it steroids. It's literally the same.
Oh, that's not very cool.
Yeah, and I love Final Fantasy X, but honestly, that skill tree was just a nightmare to get through. I didn't like it at the time, but hey, more games coming. If you like Diablo-style games, that's cool. This was a big one. And before I mention the name of this game, I want to say that there's been people online that follow me. I think they just follow me just to reply to my posts and, complain. But there's certain people that have followed me for years, and they reply to a lot of my posts asking, Genshin Impact. Where's Genshin Impact for Xbox? And I've been asked possibly every week for like months and years now. I get asked on YouTube about it. I get asked on Twitter. Basically anywhere I'm at, I've been asked about Genshin Impact. And honestly, I never thought it was going to come. Hoyoverse, the company that makes it, they've moved on to making other games. They're still supporting Genshin Impact, which is great. But again, people have been wanting this because I think it's pretty much the biggest game like that. And it's finally been announced for Xbox. I found it on the store just before it was announced. But it's coming to Xbox in November. And it's going to have some Xbox Game Pass integration. So I'm thinking some perks, some skins and stuff. But I'll put it like this. I have never played Genshin Impact. I was going to download it on my iPhone once. But when I saw the 20 gigabyte install, I was just like, nah, I'm good. But hey, it's coming to console. I'll play it when it's available. I honestly don't know what Genshin Impact is about. I have no idea. I've not followed the game. I just know people have wanted this on Xbox. I'm glad it's coming over. And I know that a lot of the arguments in that community about certain characters, right? It is, like Logan said before the show went live, it's a waifu collecting simulator. And that's kind of spot on. That's basically what I've seen in that community for years. Again, I've seen the biggest comparison is Zelda Breath of the Wild. If that's the case, I'm all for it. I think that game, from what I have played, it's super fun. I'm looking forward to playing it. Logan, this is obviously a big deal because even though it has been out a long time, people have been asking literally every single day for Genshin to come to Xbox, and it's happening.
Yeah, this is a big deal. Like, I made a half serious, half joking post about it, calling it, waifu collector, but it is seriously like a huge get for Xbox. The fact that Xbox may or may not have had first dibs on it once upon a time and turned it down, and then it ended up being this huge hit that kind of cost them for a while, but now they've come back and they're getting it. It's great news. They're finally getting it. Better late than never. And, before everybody just laughs it off as like, oh my gosh, this is like, fan service simulator or whatever. Like, it seems like a game. I haven't played it, but it seems like a game that actually has, gameplay elements and stuff. It is obviously the waifu simulator like collector thing like is part of the game. Like these characters and these anime girls and all this are like obviously a huge part of the game and inspiration of the game, but it is not solely and shamelessly 100% that. There's actual gameplay and meat to the game as well. And yeah, I plan on checking it out when it comes to Xbox, and it's coming to Game Pass. And if you're into pre-ordering it, there's like a bundle with some Xbox exclusive stuff. Comes out, I believe, November 20th.
Yeah.
And yeah, good news. And hopefully this is a sign that they can get more of these types of games. Like, I know there are certain communities in the Xbox fan base who feel like Xbox has a bone to grind with certain types of games or genres of games. Getting this one goes a long way to addressing those concerns. I understand why some of them they steer clear of for various reasons that might kind of push a line or, be a little like, huh. But for this one, it makes perfect sense, and I'm glad it's here. More people can play it, and hopefully this leads to more games and a better relationship with Asian developers.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big game from Hoyoverse, so like we could possibly see Honkai Star Rail in the past, well, in the future, I should say. By the way, like some people see names of things and they come to a conclusion of what things are. And I'm gonna put this out there because someone told me it was hilarious, but whatever. Um, so when Honkai Star Rail was announced after Genshin Impact was already out, I honestly thought Honkai Star Rail was a Japanese train simulator.
I mean, it makes sense. It sounds like Hong Kong. Like,
Yeah, but
yeah,
it turns
yeah.
out I couldn't be further from the truth. Nothing like that. But hey, Genshin Impact, it's a huge deal coming over. And like you said, there's been some games in the past that haven't been able to make a pass, certification or whatnot on Xbox due to whatever limitations they have. But hey, I've seen certain Genshin Impact models. I think things are going to be fine. So hey, people, November 20th, get collecting waifus. Have at it. Personally, I can't wait to play it. It's going to be fun. Anyway, we'll move on. The funny thing is, I checked the social media posts on like the Xbox Twitter account, and there's a lot of people saying "lol," laugh my ass off, and all this stuff. It's like I don't think some people realize how big this game is. Like it is huge. So I think people will love it. It's just people may need to experiment with something different. Anyway, we'll move on. So another game that was shown off was Dune Awakening. Now, I'm a huge fan of Dune. I think Dune is an incredible franchise. I love the fact that we have these big budget movies set in that universe. Because if you've seen that, was it 1981 movie or whatever? Um, that film is the cheesiest thing on earth. Cheesy
Oh,
beyond
that
belief.
little girl with the blue eyes.
Yeah, like it's like unbelievably cheesy. I still enjoy that film, but like it is very much a film of its time. The original cut of that film they wanted to do was going to be 18 hours long. Not even kidding. Um, I would have still watched it, but like I don't think like that would have succeeded. And I honestly thought Dune as a franchise was done. I didn't think we'd see anything of it again. But like Denis Villeneuve has made an incredible series of films, and we're going to be getting a third one in 2026, I think. Um, but we're getting video games set in this series now, and I love the fact that we're getting more games. There's more games that's going to be announced, and this is a over-the-shoulder third-person shooter MMO action RPG. Bit of a mouthful. But it looks so good. And I know the term MMO scares some people off, but trust me, there's MMOs out there where you can play literally 99% of the content by yourself. You know, what do you call it? Elder Scrolls Online, Star Trek Online, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, or I should say the Old Republic, Guild Wars 1 and 2, World of Warcraft. I think you can play that campaign by yourself. So I wouldn't let the term MMO scare people. You can play them single player. Like I've put 50 hours into Star Trek Online single player campaign. I've never once had to interact with another player, ever, and that's free. But this game looks fantastic. It's not going to be. I don't know if it's going to be set in the same universe as the movies, but it's June. How far can they, change things up? But it looks great. It's got third-person shooter combat. You can do the hovering thing. It looks like the planet is under control by House Harkonnen. I'm looking forward to this. It's coming to Xbox next year. I think this is going to be an unbelievably massive MMO on console. I know there's a lot of people searching for that special MMO on console. Final Fantasy 14 has its fan base now, and you have Elder Scrolls, which has, I think that's over 20 million players in that community now. Logan, what do you think of the Dune MMO? Because it's a big franchise, and this has potentially to be massive.
Yeah, I'm excited that Dune is doing so well and having this massive moment. As like one of like some people don't know this, but Dune was kind of even a precursor to Star Wars, and some other stuff was like an inspiration to George Lucas and some other sci-fi aficionados and writers and directors. It's an iconic series, and like some of the books go way off the rails after Messiah, but I'm glad that it's doing so well and that we're getting games in the universe. And MMO is kind of a trigger phrase to me,
Yeah.
to be honest. Like I hear MMO, it's almost like hearing like it's like, all right, hit the snooze button on the reel until this is over. But I'll give it a chance, because when I hear that it's an MMO, but you can play it entirely by yourself or pretty much by yourself, and not to not be this massive thing. Not that I don't like multiplayer games. I like multiplayer games. I like playing with other people and doing games. But in RPGs in particular, like the decisions you make or your loot and other stuff, like sometimes things can get convoluted or messy when you bring in other people.
Yeah.
So I've just kind of always avoided MMOs. But I'll give this one a chance.
Yeah, I know. Like I saw in the live chat when the thing was live, like MMO does scare people off. Like people just and like Logan, I highly recommend you play it. I assume it's going to be free to play. I don't know what pricing mod's going for, but like again, MMO doesn't mean playing with everyone. New World Eternum is coming to Xbox later this year. They've literally came out and said you can play everything single player. In fact, they've made raids that can be done single player. So like, there's a huge market for these games, and in fact, when it comes to New World Eternum, they are advertising it as a single player action RPG that supports up to 2,000 player co-op.
That's how they should advertise these games,
Yeah,
because I guarantee you'll get way more interest than if you put that three-letter trigger phrase on games.
yeah. And I've seen it. There's a lot of interest in New World Eternum. Like, I cannot wait to play this. And you buy the game up front, and that's it, right? So if they do that with this, I think people will be happy. Just they don't have to use the term MMO. It really does scare some people off. Anyway, the game looks good. Can't wait to play that. We saw Monster Hunter Wilds gameplay. They've gone full open world in this, and it's Capcom's basically first venture into open world with this franchise. And what can I say? It looks fantastic. Like, it looks like more like Monster Hunter, but open world. Nothing really else you can say about it. I will say this: people are going absolutely insane over the blonde girl in that trailer. I think chill out, people. Like, just my feed this past week's been wow.
Just wait till Genshin Impact,
Oh,
guys. Come on.
yeah. When Genshin Impact comes out, my feed is just going to be waifus, like waifus everywhere. Not that it's the worst thing in the world, but like, come on, like chill. Like, it's video games. Anyway, that looked good. The next game is called Mecha Break. It's a kind of a third person. It's hard to explain it. It looks like Zone of the Enders, but multiplayer. And that is a cool take on the mech genre, I think. So I think a lot of people have fun with that. They didn't announce a release date for it, which was weird because they've been marketing the hell out of this game. I want to say for close to a year, and still nothing. Anyway, we got Civilization 7, that's coming to Xbox, I think February 2025. It looked leagues ahead of what we've seen in previous Civilization games. So, hey, people want to get that on. Looks great. I want to talk about this quickly. The new Peter Molyneux game. Now, he's a bit of a controversial character when it comes to game development because time and time again, he talks about some outlandish ideas that never happen. Remember how in Fable...
Used car salesman.
Yeah, in Fable 2, you were going to be able to plant an acorn, and then over time you'd see it blossom into a full tree. Never happened. The evil versus good stuff in Fable 3 didn't really turn out... Like, literally, the evil versus good stuff was promised to be this, like, you'd have this menacing character, or this, like, extreme, like, angel-looking character, right? But when the game came out, and I actually like Fable 3, and I think Fable 2 is a masterpiece, but like Fable 3, if you were bad, your eyes would turn red and you get some horns. And that was it. He went a bit overboard with the description. And then, can you remember Milo for Connect?
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Like that was like some AI kid that I was 90% certain at the time that would be like the Skynet of real life. You know, you come home from work and this little kid asks you how you've been, where have you been, and, you know, give me some microtransaction money. Like, that could have happened. Then he made a mobile game where everyone had to tap tiles to reveal what was inside this planet. Then he had an NFT idea game, I believe, at one point. But hey, showed this new game off. I think it's called Masters of Albion. And, yeah, as soon as anyone says NFT, I literally block them. I block them. They exit my life because that is like terrible business. Like, why are you buying PNGs? Who buys PNGs? It's stupid. But anyway, Masters of Albion. I'm not gonna lie, it looks pretty good. He's back to his roots, making console and PC games. And honestly, Logan, I don't know if you picked up on this, but didn't it look exactly like Black and White?
Yeah, it looked eerily familiar. What I'm mostly curious is how on earth did he pull it off to get to use the name Albion? Like, did he cash in some goodwill or something? Because I figured that name would have been trademarked by now.
Yeah, I think the term Albion might be like under like fair use or something.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure there's another game coming out called Fableland or something, but whatever words they're using. I played Black and White back in the early 2000s on my PC as a kid, and let me tell you, that game looked like Black and White. You know, you can move people around the town, you can build the town, and you can also control individual characters. I think it's a cool idea for a game. I still want Black and White to come back at some point, because that was a really cool PC game in the early 2000s. I know the license for that game is all up in the air because Lionhead Studios were all over the place with the IP. Anyway, Peter Molyneux, the game looks interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing more of it. I just hope he doesn't do any of this experimenting, fifth dimension, 4D chess stuff. Like, just release a game that we can play. We don't need promises throughout the wazoo, telling us we can, change the world with this game. Just let us play it. Let it be a normal game. That's all we need, right? It doesn't need to, he doesn't need to reinvent the bicycle every single time he makes something. Just make something fun. Anyway, we'll move on. The first Berserker Kazan. This has already been announced for Xbox. It's kind of an anime Souls-like. It looks very cool. It's coming to Xbox in 2025. 2025 is looking stacked, by the way. And that's also going to have a tech test, I think, in October or November. So people can sign up for that now. You'll get your code, play the first few levels. Looks super cool. There were some DLCs announced when it comes to, Diablo and all that stuff. But one of the big ones they had, and I feel like this kind of went under the radar, even though it's probably the biggest game they announced at the show, and that's Mafia: The Old Country. I watched that whole showcase from beginning to end, and I did not notice that trailer at all. And it popped up. It was literally on the Xbox YouTube channel in my feed. And it looks like all the rumors about Mafia were true. There's a brand new Mafia game. It's set in between, if I remember correctly, in between 1880 and 1911. And most of this game is going to take place in Italy. Now, if you've played Mafia 1, 2, and 3, you know you're going to get extremely intense and interesting stories in open worlds where it's pretty much a backdrop in the past, Mafia games. They are open world, but you don't actually go around like a GTA game. It takes place with an interesting story, and that's all you really need. And hey, it's coming out next year, so Take-Two is releasing 2 open world city games in the same year. Logan, what do you think? Because this kind of flew underneath the radar, where most people missed the announcement.
Yeah, this one caught me by surprise because I knew they were the remake of the first one and went to Game Pass recently, and then they had remade the second one, and the third one was out and kind of didn't do as well. But yeah, going back all the way to the beginning, like the origins in the old country in Italy during the 1800s and up to 1920, that sounds like it's gonna be intense. Like I can just totally imagine like almost Red Dead like mechanics where you're like on horses or horse and carriage, you know, traveling with, wine and other stuff through the countryside, or taking out other families, and it just I can imagine how intense and brutal it is going to be in old world Italy, and it sounds really cool.
Yeah, it looks really cool, and I think that people are ready for a new open world game like that, because we don't get open world city games that often anymore, unfortunately. And it's been a long time since we had Mafia 3. So if people want to get caught up, play Mafia Definitive Edition. It's available in Game Pass right now. It is excellent. It's absolutely excellent. The story in that game, it feels like you're playing basically The Godfather or Goodfellas. It's incredible. But hey, that's coming next year. Honestly, I know a lot of people are making fun of the Jeff Keighley showcase thing, opening night live. I thought it was decent. I think I just had my expectations high when it came to things like Alien and multiple Alien announcements and Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. I mean, there was a lot of people on my feed talking about the Gears collection. I never thought that was going to be there, but honestly, I thought it was okay. I thought it was an okay show. I thought it wasn't underwhelming. It wasn't overwhelming. I was just whelmed. It was okay.
Whelmed.
Yeah, it was a decent watch. I'm happy I didn't stream. I was going to live stream the whole thing before the podcast went live. I'm glad I didn't, because I was able to drink. So awesome. Logan, what do you think of the showcase overall? Because again, it was 2 hours. There were a lot of cool announcements. There's plenty of games coming to Xbox over the next year. But yeah.
Honestly, I thought it was okay. Like you said, it was neither wow, this is just truly incredible, like they have returned to the forefront of gaming, nor was it like house is on fire, sell everything. This was just pure garbage. It was just okay. Like there were some things I really liked, and then there's some stuff I was ambivalent on, and then there were a few things that I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna play that, but cool. So overall, yeah, it was okay. Genshin Impact though was a big deal, and I know Xbox had some other news, and we'll talk about that later, which added to the spice of the event. So yeah, overall, I'd probably say it was a C. It was all right.
Yeah, yeah. A C sounds good. That's kind of fair. But as much as I've gave Jeff Keighley crap in the past for his shows, honestly, his shows are becoming better. The Game Awards has been getting better over the years. I actually enjoy the Game Awards now. I think Gamescom opening night live. I have complained about him being the only person being the face of gaming. I will say this though, like he is the only one putting on a big Gamescom show in general. So I will, commend him. I'll tip my hat. But I'm hoping next year we'll see some bigger stuff, because I think a lot, like in my feed, people were expecting Half-Life 3. With the rumors that's been happening over the past month. So For me, yeah, I think you're right. A C. So, the elephant in the room, the big topic, the thing I left off the list, Indiana Jones. Okay, now someone's knocking on my door. It's probably my neighbor. Logan, can you explain what happened with Indiana Jones? I'll be right back. And I think Logan has disappeared.
Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Sorry, I cut out for a
yeah,
second.
yeah, it's fine. Someone's knocking on my door. This is a bit awkward. Can you just explain the Indiana Jones situation, which we didn't talk about, and I'll be back in 2 seconds.
Yeah,
All right, cool.
no problem. Okay, everyone. So basically, you know how the past year there's been all these rumors and all these people come insiders coming out of the woodwork and saying, "Oh, I've heard this game's coming to PlayStation or that game or this or that or like and then they'll collaborate somebody else's report saying, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I heard that too," or whatever. So, we had that whole song and dance about a week or two ago again and most people were talking Forza Horizon 5, because there was a tease about Mexico and some other stuff like that. Then others said, no, it's not going to be that one, or at least not yet. It wouldn't surprise me if it's later. So they played the ambivalent, hedge their bet kind of card. And then it came out that people are like, oh, yeah, it's going to be Indiana Jones. And then you had people just leaking things on Reset Era and then deleting their post, and then the whole thread gets deleted, which was interesting. And just a whole bunch of weird stuff. And then lo and behold, they announced Indiana Jones at the show. Yay, cool. We got a release date, December. All right. The gameplay looks good. The game looks fun. Looks authentic Indiana Jones.
Yep.
And then just at the very end, with featuring a beaming smile from Jeff Keighley, PlayStation release date a few months later. And all is right with the gaming world, and it's everywhere. The insiders are proven right. The Xbox fans are just, absolutely losing it. It's just chaos. It just, it is what it is, man. I mean, like, do I like Xbox's strategy right now? No. Is getting mad about it online all the time going to fix it? No. So if I decide to put my energy elsewhere, yes. Like, but above all that, in my opinion, maybe this is just me and maybe I'm in the minority in the Xbox community and that's perfectly fine. But to me, like these marquee franchises that are third party IPs, because remember, it may be made by Bethesda, which Xbox owns, but Indiana Jones is, Lucasfilm intellectual property, and it's one of these marquee pop culture juggernauts, just like a Star Wars or any of the Marvel franchises or Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. To me, like those should be multi-plat as an industry standard because their fan bases are so big and so passionate and it just dividing them just makes people resentful and doesn't help. Like I know Sony doesn't play that way and it sucks for Xbox users. It really does. There's no sugarcoating it. It sucks. I want to play Spider-Man on an Xbox. I have a PS5 so I can. But I wish everybody who has Xbox and focuses on it could play it on Xbox because it just seems right. It's a huge pop culture juggernaut. But that's not how they play. They don't roll that way apparently. And it does feel like Xbox plays by a different set of rules, but I just think in general as an industry standard, these juggernaut things like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, all the Marvels should be multi-plat across the industry is a standard and everybody plays them and enjoys them. But unfortunately, that's just not the world we live in.
Yeah. I know some people might be wondering why am I why is someone knocking on my door at 20 past 12 midnight. No, my neighbor had an Amazon package. He knows I stay up late. That's literally it. I live an eventful life, so it was cat treats and hair shaping putty. Yeah, my life is riveting. Anyway, so yeah, the Indiana Jones thing. What can I say? I mean, look, you have a point about the whole like third party IP thing. Uh, Honestly, I look Xbox's biggest fault years ago, right? It was that they didn't have enough first party studios making first party games. They relied too much on third party studios. So that's how the whole scale bound situation happened. That's how Crackdown 3 happened. Even though I enjoyed Crackdown 3, but it was far from the game we were originally promised with the whole cloud compute stuff. So they needed to improve that, and since 2018, they really improved their first party output for not just video games, but they have studios making multiple games at the same time, and that's great. They have so many studios. They focusing on single player IP, which is the main thing I want from Xbox. It's not multiplayer. I don't give a crap about multiplayer. It's single player, and they are providing that. There's Xbox is actually an interesting topic to talk about in general now because there's always something going on with Xbox. If you move all the FUD aside, the games coming out, the games that's being announced, the stuff that we know that's in development, the different studios making different games. Ninja Theory alone, like they making multiple games now, and one of them was recently greenlit by Microsoft for a new game. So that's exciting. That's things to talk about. But this Indiana Jones thing, it highlights one of the four main flaws for Microsoft. And by the way, all these things, they can fix. They are literally things they can fix. I had to actually write them down because I kept messing them up. So here we go. Number one, marketing. Their marketing in the UK is kind of barren at the minute to the point where you never see Xbox marketing. Not really, not much. When Hellblade came out, there were Xbox trailers online all the time. But in general, you don't see Xbox marketing much in the UK. And when it comes to worldwide, they do need to market more in European countries. They just do. Next up, not capitalizing on exclusive features. When the Xbox Series X and S came out, remember they were shouting from the rooftops, Auto HDR, FPS boost, and your 4K enhanced games will still work and all that stuff. And like Xbox's big strong point when it comes to their ecosystem is the compatibility, free upgrades. None of their marketing features anything like that. They don't even tell people that you get free cloud saves, right? That's always bothered me. Like, talk about these things. Advertise your big selling points for your console. And they don't do that. Excuse me. And I think, like, whenever I talk about backwards compatibility, people literally ask me saying, hey, is this game backwards compatible? Oh, I didn't know this was even back. Like, I know people that are hardcore in gaming in general that own Xboxes that don't even know that Call of Duty is backwards compatible.
That is a colossal failure.
Yeah, and like the fact that like not everyone knows about what Game Pass is. The amount of times this year I've had to explain to people what Game Pass is because of the whole Call of Duty stuff, like that says it all. Next up, messaging. This is the big one, right? We keep getting told one thing, something else happened. And by the way, for people listening, I am not an Xbox doom and gloom guy. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to start covering PlayStation. Like, the truth is, I've been a fan of Xbox since the original console came out. I love the ecosystem. I love the community that spawned from that. I love everything about Xbox. But I will be honest, their marketing isn't that good. The follow-through, which we'll get into in a minute, like the messaging is the number one worst thing because every time this year something's leaked. Like let's hop back in the time machine, go back to January, right? All the rumors start popping off about Sea of Thieves, Hi-Fi Rush, Grounded, and Pentiment. People freaked out. Then a week later, we had them sitting on stools talking about the plan going forward. And do you know what happened when those 4 games were officially announced on my feed? Nobody was freaking out. People accepted that it was the 4 games and that just, they were fine with it. Because Pentiment, nobody's talking about Pentiment, even though it's a great game. Hi-Fi Rush, nobody was talking about it, even though it's a great game. Grounded, nobody was talking about it, even though it's a great game. Sea of Thieves popped off big time. And we were told in that same show, is Indiana Jones and Starfield any of these 4 games? So Phil Spencer didn't actually lie. However, it is mixed messaging at the end of the day when you tell us that, hey, these 4 games aren't a sign of more to come. And then you do an interview a day later with The Verge and say, more games may come. Now, more people play Indiana Jones, that doesn't bother me. I love Indiana Jones. It's one of my favorite IPs. I've been a fan of Indiana Jones since I was a wee little baby, right? I love that IP. And the fact that I'm getting a big AAA action-adventure game set in that universe this year, I love that. But messaging needs to be clear. You have fans on Twitter saying right now they're done with they're done with the box. They're done with the ecosystem. And like some people may think like I'm being like not reactionary enough. The truth is, when it comes to video games, I don't get angry about video games. Like, it's a hobby we're meant to enjoy, and if you're expelling so much energy into being just vile and spiteful to people because of an announcement like this, like, you're in the wrong hobby. You really are. And like, I don't like some of these moves they're making. And like I said, everything they're doing right now, they can fix. They're going to have a couple of little showcases over the next 3 days, I believe, on YouTube and Twitch, where they're going to show off things like Avowed, Indiana Jones, Flight Simulator, all that stuff. At some point in this next week, they just need to come out and be crystal clear with people. Because in my feed, people are saying, oh, hey, this game's going to be multi-platform. That game's going to be multi-platform. And they need to tell people that, you know, Xbox needs exclusive, Xbox needs unique selling points. Now, for Xbox, that is their ecosystem. But for consoles and the way Mindshare works, that's video games. They need exclusive video games in general. And, you know, when the rumors kicked off last week and the Forza Horizon 5 rumor was going around, before Jez Corden kind of said that wasn't it, I actually thought that made the most sense, because Forza Horizon has a shelf life of about 5 years, and then they pull it from the store due to, you know, car license and music license stuff. Like, hell, Forza Horizon 4, amazing game, charted #1 in the UK and all that stuff, and it's getting pulled this December due to licensing. So, realistically, Forza Horizon 5 has 2 years left, 3 most, right? So, in my mind, I was thinking, okay, they've got over 30 million or 40 million Xbox players. They're going to spend the next 2 years getting sales from a platform that's never been on before. So, to me, that made the more sense, really. But for single-player stuff, I honestly thought single-player stuff would stay exclusive simply due to the fact that it's a great selling point, you know? I do think them advertising the PlayStation version now is a hilariously bad move. You know, you want people to jump into your ecosystem, you want people to spend money in your platform, and if you tell people, hey, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle comes out on Xbox December 9th and PC December 9th and Day 1 in Game Pass, that is excellent, right? That's a selling point for this year. And then 40 seconds later, you have Jeff Keighley having a big old Joker smile, saying, and it's also coming to PlayStation next year. That was a bad move. Honestly, I think that if the whole thing happened and they didn't announce the PlayStation version today and it just went, you know, in the future, I don't think the reaction wouldn't have been this vile and vitriol online. It's just the way it was handled. So Xbox,
it's a cell phone.
Yeah. And it's just like they just didn't need to market it that way. And I will say this, and by the way, what I'm about to say right now, you will see people online mention what I'm about to say without even talking about how I'm the only person that brought this up. For the first time ever, the PlayStation logo is on an Xbox trailer on the Xbox YouTube channel. I've never seen this before, at all, ever. And I watch basically every trailer on that channel. And there's the PlayStation logo on the Xbox YouTube channel for Indiana Jones. I was actually shocked. So, like, I don't know if the whole FTC deal thing and all that stuff, like, I don't know if that included Indiana Jones or just Bethesda games in general, because we all knew about Doom the Dark Ages. Like, that's a multi-platform game we knew from the start. But Indiana Jones, we've never actually been told it was exclusive. We've just seen Xbox and PC logos, and they've never came out and said it was multi-platform either. We've just all guessed, hey, Indiana Jones, it's exclusive, and they should have just gave the fan base the opportunity to support the game and talk about it. Because look, if it came out to PlayStation, let's say April, right? People would have talked about it on Xbox. People would have, marketed it, covered it, and whatnot, and it would have had its time on PlayStation as well. The thing is, right now, they're going to have to spend basically two lots of marketing dollars with this game, once now and once later, and I think it's just a bad move, really. Do I think it's the end of Xbox? No. I just think it was a misstep. It was them stepping on a rake in a continuous line of them stepping on rakes. It happens a lot. Now, I don't think Xbox is going third party. I don't think that's going to happen. What's this in my feed? I don't think Xbox is going to go full multi-platform. I mean, look, there's people that have been wanting the end of Xbox since the early 2000s. There's people I know for a fact in the game and media that do not like the fact that Xbox got into the gaming space for consoles, right? They persevered. They got through to the... Like, look at it like this. The original Xbox sold about 30... I think it was 25 to 30 million units. The Xbox 360 dominated that era, right? Where gaming was just Xbox. Everyone talked about gaming as Xbox. And they sold like 80 million consoles. They were number one in NPD in the US for 37 months in a row, right? Xbox was king. And then I honestly think Xbox just never recovered from 2013. That whole Don Matrix thing, people still go TV, even though it's been 11 years. They just never recovered. Now, everything I've just said, Xbox needs to rein it back a bit, look at the messaging, and be crystal clear. Because you have people theorizing them going third party. I don't think that'll ever happen. I do think there will be exclusive stuff, but one of my main problems with Xbox, and I call it no follow-through. Xbox has had these great plans over the years, and they never see them through to see if they work. They buy Bethesda in 2020, a week before the Xbox Series X and S pre-orders went live. To me, that was genius. That was a huge incentive to people, to get people to buy your console, because you have Starfield, the biggest next RPG by Bethesda, coming out in the next year plus or whatever. So, like, people are like, oh, you're going to get this game, exclusive and in Game Pass. And they did market stuff, but in that very, very same meeting, they did say some games will be multi-platform, right? Fair enough. I understand that. But you fast forward to the Activision thing, and I don't think anyone realistically thought Call of Duty would be exclusive, But Xbox, like, their plan was to get 4 AAA games out a year, because that incentivizes people to stay subscribed to Game Pass. Now, that itself, that's a great business strategy. That's how Netflix and Disney Plus, that's basically how everyone does their services, right? Put out new content, you stay subscribed. Xbox still hasn't seen that through. Due to the pandemic and all these delays and stuff, they have no follow-through. They won't see things through. They won't see if their plan for 4+ games a year, first-party AAA games launching in the service every year, is going to work. Right? They haven't had the chance to do that because of the delays. I just want Xbox to be crystal clear with messaging. Let people know that they are maybe freaking out. And look, follow through. Market the console. Because they have the best console. Don't care what anyone says. They have the best console. They have the most interesting lineup. They have tons of variety when it comes to their first party output. Like, look at all the PlayStation content creators right now. What are they making, right? And I don't blame them, by the way. I blame Sony for not giving them much to talk about. They're talking about a hypothetical showcase that doesn't exist. They're talking about the PlayStation 5 Pro, which hasn't been announced. And they're talking about Xbox games. They're not talking about PlayStation. PlayStation right now is a boring platform. You get overcharged for everything. You get charged for remasters, which should be free upgrades. You have to pay for cloud saves, which should be free. You don't get backwards compatibility in an era where people are talking about game preservation more than ever, even though Xbox actually does game preservation. But no, all eyes are on Xbox because they keep doing these little mini missteps. They keep stepping on brakes. These things they can fix. And like, look, I'm a hardcore Xbox fan. I make Xbox-centric content. That isn't going to change. I don't want people to get that wrong. I just want Xbox to reassure fans on their plan. They need to come out and give people assurances that, look, they've said they aren't abandoning hardware, but you have people coming out saying, hey, who should buy this $500 box for Indiana Jones or whatever game when they can just put that game on a different platform? It's like PlayStation and Nintendo sell their hardware because they put out great games, the media hype them up, and people have no option but to buy those consoles. And if you're a console gamer, the only place you should be buying Xbox games or playing them is on an Xbox, right? PC is a separate thing, all in the ecosystem. But my point is that what's this biggest game on say people don't actually listen to what I'm actually saying. PlayStation right now is a boring platform. It really is. I don't care what's released right now, and everyone gives PlayStation all these what's the term? They give PlayStation credit for third-party releases. Like, just stop it. Not in my chat. Not today. I think people just need to see Xbox come out with some follow-through, with some plans they've actually had in motion, and actually come out and describe to people what the plan is going forward. Because right now, you have people doing the whole quote-unquote Switch thing where they say, hey, I'm selling my Xbox. Then they take a picture and post their picture in a bin. And then, by the way, it's always a clean bin. And then they switch to PlayStation. They change their profile pictures to PlayStation-centric characters. And all of a sudden, they like PlayStation games, which they've always made fun of or never talked about. I always find that funny. But Logan, I've been talking long enough. What's your thought on all this? Because, again, with everything I've just said that I think Microsoft can fix, I think people freaking out right now is a bit premature.
Yeah, I mean, being completely honest, like, I'm a diehard Xbox guy like you. I've been with Xbox since the beginning, OG Xbox. I'm Xbox all the way through. I play on the others as well, but it's my preferred. Even in a doomsday scenario where they went full third party, it would still be my platform of choice because I enjoy the system, the backwards compatibility, the features, all the people like you and others I've met through the Xbox ecosystem and community and all that. But I am disappointed in their vision right now. This might be a little hyperbolic, but forgive me. But it feels like they're kind of having a Harvey Dent moment, and it just it's like they started off this one way, and now they've done an about face on a bunch of stuff. Not completely, but about a bunch of stuff. And a lot of people in the community are resentful or mistrusting or, just discouraged and angry. And no, they did not lie. They said they were asked point blank about Starfield and Indiana Jones, and were they included in those four? They said no. That was accurate. And then they were asked, can you guarantee them ever coming over? And they said they couldn't guarantee for any title specifically forever because that's just something you don't do, yada, yada, yada. Which, I mean, it's all corporate BS speak and talk. Like, I get it, and honestly, the fan base gets tired of people basically like Ben Kenobiing them with Jedi, speak about like what I told you was true from a certain point of view. Like, like it was true, but it's like, oh come, but you know what I mean? And it just, and then like, oh, we bought Bethesda for exclusives. and then, well, actually, and I get it. They spent years fighting in courts and regulatory practices and things to get this ABK deal done. And when you ask Daddy Warbucks for $70 billion, you better pay up, and you better bring him back the money quickly and return his investment if you ever want more money to do other stuff, because that's a heck of an investment, even for a company as big as Microsoft is. It's the biggest entertainment deal ever. And so, like, I get why they're doing what they're doing for some games and in general, but when you espouse the certain community vibe and certain culture and certain process and way of doing things, and you were all in with the fans and like boots on the ground type thing, to all of a sudden, oh, we're going to make news they're not going to like, we're going to go hide in our fallout shelters, or we're gonna go radio silent, or we're gonna say something and then poof, we're no longer interacting with people. We just cut them off at the rope, and just completely change the vibes 180 since the ABK deal. I get why people are really, really angry and mistrusting, and just some feel betrayed, and then others just feel like they got played. And I don't fully agree with all of them, but I understand the feelings. And to me, I think communication is the biggest thing. Like, you know what? If you're going to do something is not going to make people happy, at least have the brass to stand up there and be direct about it and say, this is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. This is what it's going to be for all this stuff. And no more Jedi mind tricks. No more, ring around the rosy type, dialogue and rhetoric, and, acting all friend and buddy buddy, and then like, well, gotta go, ghost you. And it created a vibe, and then severed a vibe and created a new vibe. And it's not the same Xbox that we grew up with, or the previous generations. It is what it is. I still like Xbox. I'm still going to stay with Xbox. But I'll admit, even as a diehard Xbox guy, I am pretty unimpressed with some of the way they've been handling things. They've been doing some really, really good stuff in some areas. But some of the stuff that they have been doing, it's like they blasted their feet off so many times, like they don't even have feet anymore.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, I'm not happy with some of the decisions they're making when it comes to the content they're coming out with. I'm happy, right? I couldn't be happier for first party content from Xbox than pretty much ever, right? Everything that's coming out over the next year and a half or whatever, it's really cool stuff, right? But it is disappointing, Like I said before, I'm not gonna stop making Xbox content. I'm not gonna switch overnight because I think it's honestly psychotic when people do that. Like nobody acts like that,
It's cringe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cringe. It's like, and it's always the same photo. By the way, your console is in a perfectly clean bin. That's a trash can. It's in a perfectly clean bin, and there's nothing wrong with it. And do you know what happens when they take these photos? They pick up the console from the bin and they plug it back into the TV. They dust it off a little bit and see it's fine. It's cringe, man. But again, like I get people that want to react, whatever. Look, I think Xbox as a platform, they're great. They just have issues. And the thing is, it's all stuff they can solve. And I think they just need to give people just reassurances. And who knows, maybe this time next week, something will be announced or whatever, and people will be doing the whole thing where Xbox is back, because, again, we've been through the ringer this year. And
Part 3 exclusive, baby.
Yeah. I think one of the big things that if you're an Xbox fan, every day you log on to Twitter now, you're expecting something bad to happen or something negative. You're waiting for the shoe to drop, so to speak. Because look, every Tuesday we get brand new news from Xbox, if there is any, right? Every Tuesday I open up Twitter and I literally roll my eyes into the back of my head thinking, what now? And sometimes, a lot of the time, that's not the case. But yeah, this is a weird scenario. And like, you have PlayStation paying through the nose to make games third-party exclusives or timed exclusives, and you have Xbox willing to put some of their games on, a rival platform for short-term gain while sacrificing long-term growth. And like, I did business at college. I'm not like a genius when it comes to business, but like looking at Microsoft from like the outside looking in, like they clearly need to get messaging better because a lot of people are, a bit worried. But again, I think in the end things will be fine. And before we close out the show, who knows, we might keep on going. I don't know. This other game was announced a while back, and it was at the Jeff Keighley's showcase thing, and it triggered me. And that is Batman Arkham Shadow. Now, I think the voice actor from Batman Arkham Origins did an amazing job. I think he's one of the most talented voice actors, and I think Batman Arkham Origins is an amazing game. However, this is a sequel to Batman Arkham Origins. Why would I be so upset? Why would I be so triggered? It's a VR game. You have one of the most beloved franchises on Earth, and that being, the Batman Arkham games. And you have this VR game launching in a market where VR isn't sustainable at this rate. Not enough people are buying new, VR headsets to support AAA development on that side, and not enough people are buying headsets. It's just weird. It's a weird cycle. And they have this. It's not even just like a short little experience. It's a full Arkham game, VR only, and I was heartbroken. Heartbroken beyond belief because I love those games. I think they're incredibly fun. The boss battles, the Metroidvania elements they have in those games. And to have a beloved franchise just have a new game, but it's exclusive to VR, that hurts. That really hurts. Like, screw all the stuff we've been talking about with Xbox and their messaging. Batman Arkham Shadow, did you hear the lack of enthusiasm by the audience, Logan?
Yeah, it was crickets, church mice, and everything in between. It was pretty quiet.
Yeah, and like, it's so disappointing. Like, because I love all four Arkham games, and I've still got the side scroller to get through, but it's just heartbreaking. Warner Brothers, they want to shift to making, live service games for a lot of their franchises. We're probably going to see the next major DC game after Wonder Woman have live service elements. And to have what possibly might be the last Batman Arkham game be exclusive to VR, that's painful. That's like I was kicked in the gonads with, like, the biggest boot you can imagine. Like, you remember that episode of The Simpsons where there's a guy, the Australian guy with the big boot?
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, I feel like I've been kicked in the nads with one of those boots because, like, again, that thing bothered me the most today. Yes, the alien thing not being at Gamescom, that hurt. No Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver, that hurt. The Xbox messaging stuff, yeah, that's annoying. But a Batman VR game. Who are you marketing this towards? What, the 5 people that own VR headsets and buy games regularly? I'm triggered. I get it. I just wanted to bring it up because, again, that's a franchise millions love. All they had to do was put out another Arkham game, another standard Arkham game, and you've got 10 million copies sold instantly without even trying. But no, a VR game. Thankfully, things like the Splinter Cell VR game, that was cancelled, but I could talk about that for about 5 hours. Yeah, see the episode where Bart gets kicked in the butt. That's it. It's been so long since I've seen that, but like that's the shoe I got kicked in the nuts with. It hurts deep down, not down my nether regions, but my soul. Like I love those Batman games. They're good. I've been rambling today. It's been an emotional day because of that. Really, you know, I feel like I'm gonna go crazy. I'm gonna have my my Joker origin moment because of that. Like every franchise,
You're not the only one,
like,
man, on the timeline.
yeah, pretty much half of Twitter. I mean, it's a VR thing in general. Splinter Cell comes back. Oh, it's going to be a VR game. Oh, what's this? A brand new Assassin's Creed game, but it's first person and it's VR. Like everything I like is turning into VR games that won't sell. I don't get it. Oh, we get a brand new Medal of Honor game that looks good. It's a VR game. Like I'm going to throw myself out the window. Anyway, everyone in chat has been cool today. There's been the occasional troll, but I mean, every time there's a heated topic, it kind of goes all over the place. Because I like to think, the chat on my channel is very calm, very chill, and I think everyone here, most people here, are cool people. There's no need for like senseless people like freaking out, over like video games. It's just gaming at the end of the day. But yeah. Anyway, we'll be back at the same time next week for a new episode of All Things Xbox Podcast. And I should be putting out a video the day after tomorrow and next week. I've been working on some really cool things. So if you like certain older Xbox games and upcoming releases, I've got you covered. I just want to say people just need to calm down. Some people can just you can be disappointed with the situations and just not overreact to them, That's why I'm so calm
I'm
about
back.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's like that's why I'm so calm about things when it comes to gaming. Like gaming's a hobby we should enjoy. Too many people take these things for granted because you don't know how long you're going to be here. Like gaming is a fantastic way to relax. It's a great way of storytelling, to my opinion. And look, I've never always been this calm and collected when it comes to things. That's one of the reasons why I am. Just want to put that out there into the universe. Again, everyone in chat, or to say most people, have been great. Content should be out this week and next week before the next show. We'll be back next week. We're out, everybody. Peace. It's been a long day. And